Alright guys, so I got an email the other day and I'm going to answer this question for all of you, and this is in response to one of the webinars that I did for Navionics, and I have several of those on my YouTube page, and I put them together in a playlist, and I'll put the link down below. But the question is, how do I find spawning areas and what should I be looking for? And this comes from Chris. He sent me an email about this, because I mentioned it in one of my webinars, and that's a very open-ended question. It's going to depend on a lot of things. It's going to depend on the species for one. Generally smallmouth and spotted bass are going to spawn both earlier in the year and deeper, and a little bit different areas than a largemouth would. But the biggest thing for all of these is finding flat areas, and it's easy to find these on your Navionics mapping cards. It's just look for an area that's flat compared to everything else. It's not as steep. That's going to be a prime place to start. Also anything within those flats that they can use for cover to protect those spawning areas. So say for instance a stump, so think of it like this: if there's a stump and the fish puts a bed right next to it, they only have to guard part of the area. They don't have to guard all the way around. So largemouth especially like to be right next to a stump or a dock post or a piling or anything like that kind of protects their back, so they don't have to look for everything else. So those are key areas for beds. Those are some of the places that I look for on flats, and I'll show you some screenshots here of some Navionics mapping for the lake that he mentioned. I've never been there, but I'm going to go ahead and check it out. It's in Oklahoma, and I'm going to see if I can find some areas that would help him out. But the biggest key is finding flats, and also having access to deep water is another key area, because if the fish are still deep, in the pre-spawn period, they don't want to go very far to find that spawning area. So if they're in either their winter area and it's close to a shallow flat, that's an awesome area, and then after they spawn they can go right back to that deeper area. Big bass especially are really lazy, so they don't travel very far, in my opinion. They may spend their whole life in one general area, moving up and down to spawn, moving out with the seasons, following the bait, and still being really within sight if you looked around. I think that would be their preferred way to do it. So I'll show you some screenshots of this lake, and we'll go from there. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to find spawning areas with Navionics. First thing you want to do is go to the Navionics website, and then you're going to click the web app, and it's going to bring you to where you are right now, or wherever your server is located. We're looking for Fort Gibson in Oklahoma, so it's down this way. Where's Oklahoma? There it is. Okay, cut out a little bit because I couldn't find it there. There's Fort Gibson. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and zoom in. Again, we're looking for spawning areas, and I've never been to this lake, and I'm just zooming in, kind of mid-lake. There's probably an area of the lake that may be a little bit better than others traditionally, but right away this area really kind of stood out for me because there's a shallow creek coming back, and there's a lot of shallow flats over here, as you can see. That's what's called a community edit, and it actually says a foundation stump. So anytime you see that little symbol, just click on it. You could do this on your chart plotter or on your mobile app or on this web app as well. Okay, so kind of looking around a little bit. Again, there may be some areas that are generally like more popular for spawning, like the northern end, southern end. Without going there, I'm just going to pick another one real quick. This is kind of mid-lake. This is a couple little pockets right here that are right off of the river channel. So what this shows me is that there's access to deep water and shallow water where they could spawn. I mean, these are areas that I think would be good for spawning fish. And I want to show you this real quick too. If you see this on your map, on the web app, look at the difference between the sonar chart layer and then just the standard layer. It's a lot different. So make sure that sonar chart is enabled.